specific feeling per pitch, hopefully with patterns in mind. So the initial building of a voice, often when there are passaggio, there's a touch of bottom, there is some bottom. See, we have an Italian speaker in the audience, Paul back there. Some is qualche, right?
Yes.
Okay, qualche. Some bottom. That's what that means. There's still a balance. There's still a balance of all elements. There's still lift in there. All right? Some bottom at a passaggio. Some. So a low note in each register, some bottom, and a high note in each register, some lift. So you see Luciano sing all those F naturals, almost right, Jesse? With an F, these Fs, like una fortiva lagrima. Io voglio. He's singing a cover F, totally different technique on the O vowel, and a completely open position. So the F has some low, but if I keep the low, like sort of in the throat a little bit for that reopening of that F. I'm trying to make myself a tenor for a few seconds here. All right? So that F natural is in a completely different position than the O vowel on the same note. That's what makes him perfect. You know, it's been said that he said, leave me alone. I haven't figured out how to go through this passaggio. I need 2 years. I'm going to a cave. I'm going to a cave. This is full of strain, you know? Well, that strain initially, for the guys, is sort of like the story of the tortoise and the hare. The tortoise, the learning how to protect the voice, even if it's not quite as good as that clear, bright tone that has no color, that will never move, that will never go anywhere, that will never improve past a certain point. Building that position, that protection into the top is absolutely necessary. 99% of men that have had careers actually cover the voice, just like what John said. Now, for women, we don't use that terminology. We'll get to the guys that voice the vowels that only have one passaggio, E and U. And for this broadcast here, the small y, über, the capital Y, zurück, tot, dunkel. Each of these vowels, leben, mich, have a different passaggio pitch. It's not just whatever, lower tenor and sharp. They're all different pitches. But think of, as we're sitting here, think of the voice type that you think has the least intelligence. Even that voice type is able to figure out these things in about 6 months or so. All right, so they all happen at different pitch levels. For women, I like to use, let's see, let's go a little bit red here. I see red at the moment. Let's see if I can find that. Well, maybe not red. We have 4 of these. And really the A vowel is the main vowel to consider for the female passaggi. The A and the O vowel will function about the same pitch as the A. It has to be perfectly specific. One of the most important things is that what I have found, and one of the main reasons, even for the gals, because I spend as much time with gals as guys, and I feel confident about it, is that the analysis of the top passaggio for girls is all wrong across the whole world. That's a pretty strong statement, and so therefore I feel very, very intensely about it. And the singers with whom I work today, obviously, this is not any perfection expected. We'll do the best that we can based on the situation that we're in right now. But often sopranos, it's suggested that the soprano passaggio has got to be at least as high as an F. F sharp or G, for example. And I find that almost 0 women have that passaggio. I like to think of it as almost for every voice type, which I am almost embarrassed or ashamed to suggest, but not based upon thousands and thousands of lessons trying to figure this out and research it with each voice type. That D is often, where there should be some movement. In fact, triple D, D flat, D natural, D sharp on the top. Lyric soprano, lyric coloratura. That seems totally wrong. Seems totally wrong. What is it? G flat, G natural, G sharp. Anything with a G on it. A lot of you all have pets, maybe dogs. D and G, upper middle D natural, and G's in the lower middle. This is where there's a little bit of a change. It's no longer open like the C natural, the open C's, like in a cruise line, the open C's, the ABCs of openness. The A, B, and C, all women's voices can be on the open side. What's the difference then between a soprano and a mezzo? Well, the fullness, the projection of the lower middle, for example, just like for mezzo, just like countertenors. You can't be a legitimate countertenor unless you can sing with projection, nice projection, the E, F, and G in the lower middle. You can stay there sort of all night long. And so the same is required of a mezzo. So there's that fullness in there as well. At E natural, beneath those G's, we're missing F, we'll get to F. E natural is usually handled in a little bit more open way. This would be called the mix register. Here's the lower head register, the higher head register, whatever you want to call it. The mix is just often only a few pitches, and then the chest voice beneath that. Okay? The difference in voice types lies in how high they chest in general and when they start widening out into the top of the range. Okay? For example, a lyric coloratura will start to be no longer vertical, certainly by B natural. The A natural should be generally handled in a vertical sense in vocalization. B flat for many lyric sopranos, and by C natural coloraturas. So coloratura, C, lyric coloratura, B, generally speaking, full lyric soprano, B flat, will start widening out a little bit. A natural maybe for Wagnerian soprano or something like this, A flat for lyric mezzo, and G for lower mezzo. So there is that mathematical change per voice type, but yet the passaggio, that's what seems so wrong about what I'm saying, are usually identical. But the teacher has to have an open enough mind to work with everybody and deal with each and every unique situation. Just because I would sing my extreme top with high wide lift, staying half voice here, on a high note, doesn't mean that a singer with whom I work with the same exact voice type shouldn't do the absolute opposite. The teacher must find where the missing link is first. They are all the top and they need something else, something different. They have to be able to see the invisible, and that's what we're going to try to work on today. Seeing the invisible. Okay, so let's get to work on a piece of music. Have fun with it. I'll make a few comments here and there, and hopefully some of this will become slightly more clear. Come on up, Jessica. All right. Jessica Sanders. Hello.
Hello.
You want to sing a little Costa Diva today?
Yes, a little Costa Diva today. It's brand new.
This is kind of new for me too.
It's new for both of us.
So we'll take it sort of phrase by phrase. We're not going to sing the whole piece.
Right.
If, for example, for those that are watching, you're going to forget the main things, in 4 minutes that should be worked on. Listen with me. See whether or not you can see into the person that's singing and figure out what needs what we can improve, if anything. If nothing, if it's not broken, don't fix it either, right? How much information can each singer handle? All right, before we take this, we'll just take a couple of vocalized notes, okay? Let's take an F sharp up top, so we'll start at C sharp. That the descending note C sharp is not all the way open. It's C sharp, the D flat, right? There's a little bit of shape to it. Then she reopens the next note at A sharp or B flat, right? And that F sharp shapes again. We take it one more time, vertically in the top. Narrows down there on that F sharp. There's more percentage of forward resonance. Hopefully you're recording this at home, or you're recording it here. There's more percentage of forward resonance in that lower F sharp, where there's more space on the A sharp. If you put every note in the same place, again, the child does it, watch it, right? Put every note in the same place, it's two of them are going to sound good out of 5. All right, yeah. Let's take this top again. On the open O side, okay. A little bit more shape, not quite as open. Beautiful, right? The resultant vibration as she was watching me, that little bit of extra shape, almost an open O shape, a hybrid between A and O. And generally speaking, a column on the inside, so the soft palates up the larynx down a little bit. So you have that column. That which you can replicate specifically need be attended to. If a vibration is not exactly right, it's not, the answer generally speaking is not relax. Relax, release, loosen your jaw. That is not the answer. Not. The teacher has to be specific about the position, the producing of this unnatural classical tone that will become natural in time with so many repetitions built into the sound. Okay? V for voice. Depends where we're at in that V. It was a beautiful display. Let's take a couple of phrases across the V.
Okay.
Pardon the pianist. Take this first line. That F natural was really good.
Okay.
I mentioned the F before. Often F for French. So even if you're singing in Italian, English, or German, will not sound overly French, even if you think it. Let's just take this E vowel, which can, in the lower head voice, have a little bit of umlaut about it. Doesn't sound French. Is French. The thought. It's the thought that counts. Yes? And this E vowel will put a little bit of lift in it. Right? Even the head position is allowed to not always be upright. When you're singing a lower note in a V, the posture marrying or partnering with the larynx a little bit. Of course, the girls should think much less about the larynx. I very rarely talk about it in a ladies' lesson. We'll think of this as a little bit higher in the position, okay, but the head position will low. This first ah, not particularly open to start, okay? Give it room to grow and open. Better as a result of even that head position with the combination of lifting on the inside. Good job. Now the A natural is really good this way. The focus of the phrase was much better. Of course, you've given another couple attempts to sing it.
Sure.
But as you go through it, we're going to open a little more as you go.
Yes.
Okay?
Right.
It almost didn't really expand as you
As much as I can.
So there's actually a lot of movement in this first note. It's not the same position through the entire note.
Right.
Display where the C natural, the open C, right? C is more open than D. The highest note you sang was C natural, for example. You have to know what the notes are in your pieces for darn sure. And the teacher should have all of these notes memorized, absolutely, in all traditional pieces. uses for short. I thought it was a great display. You can turn that up again. Okay, let's keep going.
Okay.
Whether it's open or closed doesn't really matter. For example, if you take, again, John, I'm sorry I keep mentioning him, he will generally think that there are 5 vowels, I believe. I've sung with him, but I haven't talked to him a lot, a lot. So even though there's 7, right, there's open A and closed A. But here, because it's a D natural, the A and the O vowel, D, sometimes say D for dark, or a synonym would be closed vowel. So she sang a closed vowel here. She maintained that on the way down, which made it even for the phrase. But as you build it, you should think of the D, here's where we are. Let's see. That could actually open as you vocalize it. So if we take a D and a B vocalized, without worrying about the P's, because it was perfect in the P's just. Let's take the D. We're going to open that. Just 2 notes. So there's actually, their voice, a little hint of closed A, I must admit, in that B flat. But generally speaking, if you close down the E vowel all the way down, women generally have an easier time with that, and it's a bit more of a friendly position to keep the E closed almost all the way. But opportunity, or shall we say opportunity, at A, B flat, and B is a good place where many women need reopen, or else they'll really slim and narrow that down in that area of the voice. All right, let's go back and perfect some of this. Okay. Starting the second phrase. Okay, also shake a little bit, close vowel, lift. This was excellent, and rarely did she sing a pure vowel, but it sounded pure. It wasn't. You know, the lower note's super closed, I mean, right? It sounds awesome. Okay. And then the E vowel's very open already at D natural. There's some movement in depending on the soprano you're working with, that E vowel, you know, for some can stay pure up through F natural or so for lyric soprano, but you already see modification movement at D, and then little by little, just like a V opens up in shape, the modification becomes more and more and more. E. For example, you'll be singing basically a French OE vowel for an E vowel at top G. And for example, if you sing an E, pretty please. E. It's even more modified than I even thought. F sharp, maybe toward OE. E. That top note is slightly less open than the high phrase before that, the penultimate phrase. If you're recording, rewind your recording and listen to that. They are not the same position. We built this over the last several years together. I'm very proud of what you've done. Let's take some higher phrases. What time do we have on the clock right now? Anybody?
4:53.
4:53. Okay, so let's proceed to some higher phrases.
To the bottom of the semblante. One of those A's.
Sure. How about from last
Okay,
nuances.
yeah.
Thank you for fixing it yourself. So a little bit of a point, sort of a point in the front there that made it more proper and focused.
Yeah.
So before that, there's a little bit of closed vowel and shape on the E natural, releasing more open. Once again to show that. The key thing for the B flat, which was excellent but not perfect, also is one little wrong note here as we go. Okay, you caught that. She caught that. Sorry, it's new for both of us. She put me on the spot a little bit. We put each other on the spot. Okay. Now, before the B flat, save space for the B flat. It's not like you're going to underspace and sound bad on a couple notes so that the high note's good. No, you're going to sound right on every note. But the A natural, there's several A natural. And the one before it it's going to have a little bit less back pull than this does. Okay, it's very, very general, semi-specific, and I hate it that it's semi-specific. But we're going to we're going to work that phrase a bit. Let's take it from just from better. Here we go. Thank you so much, Jessica.
Thank you.
Beautiful. That was Jessica Sandage, who has another Met contract this year. Evan Lazdowski, I've been working with a little bit, and he's 20 years old. So we're just building the top. He sings with baritone passaggio. We'll see whether or not he will eventually be a bass player. Okay? A little vocalization, okay? We're going to start at the middle G, okay? All right, let's take the first exercise. And G natural is a higher note in the V. Sorry, I'll get back to you in a second. Yeah. Okay. So we have the 3 V's for the open vowels. Okay. So Evan is right here with the dot. Okay. Above that, he's going to make a change, and it's going to be a little bit overdone, exaggerated for right now, because phonation, or the clarity of tone without cracking, was at one point an issue. So we have to build that in a little bit more for some rather than others. Okay, but that was a nice, clear, easy G natural. We're going to take an entire octave. Okay. It's that little bit of shape. There's that low G, which most baritones don't have. But I do work with 2 baritones at the Met that have truly a baritone voice, but have low E natural on the bottom, but they're truly baritones. So it's not just about the range, for example. You know, the common baritone is low A to high G, octave in a minor 7th, for example. Bass baritone generally F sharp to F sharp. That which Evan will show in terms of range today. But he just sang Guglielmo and Così fan tutte. He sings G's in every lesson that they're not that effortful. Usually bass baritone singing a G is like, that's it, folks, you know. But he has this rather huge range, so we'll see how it works out. Now this low G can have a little shape, but not killer, not a double dose of lips, shall we say. So quickly put, he's going from middle G, right? There's that little bit of shape on the bottom. All right? And we're going to go up up to high C sharp on the second vocal ease, okay? Which will take us to the top of the next V. I have found through my experiments that, of course, one should, in vocalization, go up step by step, generally, and not skip notes. We're going to skip for right now, because you'll benefit from being quite open on a C sharp or a D, and then building his lower passaggio from there. So let's take F sharp major here. Sure. Lights up. Perfect. Okay, so on the way down, he's not singing the same vowel as the top note. You notice that? I mean, it's in a different shape. Once again, nicely done. ID now. You make your choice as to whether to be open or covered. Because he has such a low voice, it still might be a baritone. At a D natural, you would choose on some phrases to be narrow like that. If it's less than forte, like you just heard, right? That top note was narrow with a closed vowel. Okay? He's built space in it already. The final polish of the first note in the top voice will actually have a narrow result. So it's quite a process. We want to be able to have the space and the place at the same time, up to a certain point. Now we're going to show the, well, let's show it again, so that sort of narrowish position.
Single voice.
If you sang both on the open side, the O would have to be very, very close to ah. So he has two choices here. If a singer has a technique without a mid-ground half cover, Domingo has a half cover, but Pavarotti does not. He either chooses one or the other, close or open, no mid-ground. Here we're going to take it quite open, but you'll notice that the O vowel has to be so open that it's no longer kind of O, and that's one reason to decide to make the shift on that O at that D. Here's the open version. Now the covered E flat. On the ah, thank you, Evan, is very, very different than that open D. Now for baritones, the standard rich baritone, E natural, is the passaggio. So when we talk about E flats and Ds, because we're talking about different vowels, the O and the A need to make that shift a half step lower, voice teachers. Okay? So the D at a forte can handle that openness and still be O enough for an open O in Italian. But we have a closed O in French and German. What do? We become, as diction teachers tell us, we get a little bit closer to oo. So we're sort of equidistant between English pure O and oo. Told, right? The common word in German for dead, right? Told. And I have a lot of oo in it, particularly out of passaggio. Again, the closed vowels only have one passaggio. Told will have a passaggio of approximately middle C forever. Lights up again. So let's take told. Sure. Let's see if we get the lights a second. And we're going to make this cover, so to speak, of course, which still has to have a clear tone, including the back of the nose, the hard palate for clarity eventually. Again, the space trumps the face, it's more important. Told at C sharp. Told. In the end, we can feel that position is a little bit too low. But remember, if there are phonation issues, again, the building of the larynx first, if necessary, then the rest of it will come in time. For example, it's often a young man's development that starts with this seemingly unfortunate position to build it initially, And then a little bit of forward resonance wants to kick into it. So let's say we've got, what are we, in August or September today? September, October, November, December, January, February, still stays at March, April. You know, so in time, there's an up and over final polish, but if the teacher suggests, just because he or she always sang with a high position at age 55 or whatnot, that could be developmentally really bad for the singer. Again, it's a tortoise in the hare. This development over time, it takes time. If it were easy, anybody could do it. It's not. It's like not. So, but the specificity of how to build each note, keeping it fun, making sure they can handle the information, you know, one step at a time. Over time, that tortoise will beat out the hare, and hopefully most other singers as well. All right, so we're going to see if we can make a slightly higher position on this total, okay? All right, so a little forward resonance, a little lift. Very good, that's a C sharp. We would take that down to a C for clarity's sake. So over the years, really fast if I can. I don't think I can be fast, but we'll try. Over the years, I've developed, again, all of this is subjective, and you know, no teacher's perfect, no singer's perfect, right?
Right.
Yes. That the highest level conductors and coaches will put up with a certain diction that's close enough to the real vowel, okay? But if Evan insists on taking that position and that vowel with purity any lower than that, the throat will grip and close on him. So there are places that, respectfully, coaches and conductors will not understand that in the middle part of the voice where you cannot sing exactly the real vowel, where they would think, well, it's a lower note. What are you worried about? Only high notes you have to worry about purity of vowel. No, absolutely lower tones as well. Like if we took toe at B natural, I think you should sing it slightly over. That vowel is impure and wrong. But it's right. It's the to them it's the right thing to do at that pitch level. If he tries to sing forte and jam a closed O into that position, you know, this is about a career in singing, and you have to fill the theater. The first rule of theater is audibility, and all that. Right? So let's take it really close. We're going to try to cover it close. That's to sort of fit in that slot. It started to be on the close side, and we had to open it up because it wasn't going to go anywhere. Okay, so each vowel, the more closed the vowel you have, the lower the passagial pitch. The A vowel in your voice, E natural. We discussed the O vowel, right? Let's take that E flat, for example, on the A, so we can show the difference between the A and the O. Now the F. We're missing the E natural. We'll get there. In terms of inside position, that's very, very good. In the end, he will be able to send out that tone after the initial inside position has been taken care of to make an even more authoritative, you know, larger tone, you know, sent out. But that was a very, very good position for that. It's a completely different technique than the E flat. If he takes it all the way open, he's got no color. The voice will then above that, F sharp and G, only be narrowed off too much. Which we don't have time to necessarily discuss too much. Here's the E natural on the A. So the E flat was open, the F was in the cover. Here's the E natural. This is a challenging note. It's a really good job. He was able to have a sort of an up and over position. Yesterday when he and I worked, I haven't seen Jessica for a little while, Kelly for a little while, but the position was quite low, and on his own was able to make that shift, that which, you know, shouldn't be able to happen overnight, really. A really, really good job. Okay, good E natural. So that's E natural for the A, E flat for the O at all times. Sustained, we'll talk about sustained and unsustained, we'll get to Kelly here in a second. So we have E natural on the E flat on open O, C sharp or C on the closed O. So the more closed the vowel we get for the men, the lower the pitch will be that we have to make that shift in the voice. The oo vowel would be approximately a B. So we're going to sing it a little bit open, the top of the previous B for the oo, G, and then B. Which is, again, it's a more closed vowel than the O vowel, right? The oo. So in terms of pitch, it will be lower than we took it for the closed O. Oh, music. You almost didn't want to close there in terms of vowel. But you can do that. You can build that to projection, to proper mezzo forte projection. But at an A natural, that's not going to happen. We're going to sing it a little open. So it was wrong, which made it right. Right? Now let's take F sharp. We're going to sing an open version of the cover. So, again, you take a high B or a high C, he's looking as if it's quite open. At F sharp, eventually, depending on the development of the singer, some tenors, for example, are trying to find a half step every year or so. They sing an A and then want a B flat, then want a B, and then want a C. Often they have to start with an oo, not always, certainly not always, and then little by little be able to expand from the tortoise, pardon the sound, okay, into more of an open tone there. But if you ask them to have it be that open, even though I'm still singing in half voice, that open, it will not happen. It just will not. So it's like a rose petal on the PBS show or something like that. Little by little you see that May 5th, May 12th, fast camera, that'll happen over time. Okay, so that's that oo vowel. Now on high notes, the E and the oo, just when the open vowels close, the closed vowels open. That means that at the open vowels at E flat or so will have a little bit of closure. So an E flat for E and oo will begin to open, so they become almost all the same. The E up top, we'll sing the oo at C and E. We're going to do 2 more phrases. Shape up there, but it's going to be almost an O vowel, or like the word book. Don't call it book. Remember, there were issues of even being able to sing a sustained note there. So that protection right now, again, essential, and we'll be able to send it out into the theater. Lastly, a high F sharp on the open side, right? It's an open, it's a cover, but it's on the open side. There's that reopening. Penultimate note had a little roundness in there, and the last note reopens. Thank you so much, Evan. Excellent. Just because we have this really nice theater here till 5:30, I want to ask what time we have.
5:12.
5:12. Let's get right to Karunomi. Is it going to be Karunomi?
Yeah.
All right. Unless would you like a few minutes ago?
No. Whatever you want to do is fine.
Okay.
It's your masterclass.
Yes. Master, yes. That's right. Okay. Let's give this a good college try. We've been sitting out there in our audience for 45 minutes.
Oh, but also for cozy, so
yes.
3 hours before that.
Yes, we had a cozy performance. I attempted to conduct cozy. I know I do 4 performances a year that way, so it's been a busy day. Nonetheless, we're ready to go. Pardon the pianist again. Here we go.
Yeah.
Let's do the beginning. Okay, right on it. Maybe the whole intro. we'll look at, and then the second pitch. Okay, let's just take, let's think of it as nearly ooh, it's a bit of an angled up dome. Just that very last one. See, actually, the mouth kind of came up for it. Oh, seemingly kind of a strange position for it, but it thinned it out, I think, appropriately. I really like that. Now on the bottom here, think of it as a closed A with space rather than just a little bit too open. All right, so you have that shape of the mouth, which is absolutely okay to have, particularly at a passaggio. I often say pucker at a passaggio, just a little bit. Okay, so we have that, and maybe just a little lift. So you have closed A, shape the mouth, lift. And the mod A can be whatever you want it to be. It doesn't have to actually match, even though it's the same note, it doesn't have to match the same choice that you made on the second note. So do what you like, which is kind of a bit more open, touch more OE. The second note is what we want to focus on, and we'll move on. So that second note had a better resultant vibration, and that's a telltale sign the singer is doing right. And once again, it's not as a result of trying to just release and, it's usually. Okay, I've got to keep that in mind as well, so I'm not closed-minded about this and have this special way of doing it. Okay, moving on to the aria clock. So far, so good. Which would be that E natural. All right, we're going to have 4 V's, right, supposedly, at least for this hour, huh? All right, so we have, say, F sharp, and then E natural is fairly open. We're going to exaggerate the deal for a second. Turn up the lights again, please. Well, we have min, now a smaller difference between the two. Still some sensation in the back. It's a little bit open on that note, whereas if it were it's more pointed. Again, it's that G flat, the triple G, G flat, G natural, G sharp, as opposed to that E natural. That's a different position by a little bit, folks. And third coloratura, and Jessica before lyric soprano, same. If we took, say, for example, this D that I'm all into, being the passaggio and not the F's. If we took an F sharp and a D, what would happen to the D? Let's see. As opposed to the C. What is this? A tritone. Open on the C. Yeah, that may be a smidgen too open, but that's the idea. That C natural is different than the D. The D is more properly narrowed in that position. Thank you very much. Okay, getting back to the nitty-gritty, if you can remember what you heard before, sorry to put you on the spot, we're going to think of it as a little bit more narrow. The middle voice in this was just a little kind of too open, a little too much space and needed a touch of focus. Just this time around. instead of A. You know, basically, let's say fa, mi, ta. Still stay relatively open in space, open and drop in space. Not that it always should be that way. We're tweaking this particular piece for this particular moment, this particular fine sync. Knowing that you will not really be in the same position on the notes prior to the high note. And although I usually wouldn't say prepare the high note early, I wouldn't, because if you're mentally you prepare for what the high note would be, but if you're actually in the position of the high note too early, you will have been out of position for the note that you're singing, for the noble effort that you're trying to make. Generally, you'll have either overspaced too soon, causing your vocal cords to do something wrong, and you can't make up for it, no matter what. However, let's think of it. Let's think of that C position is going to be pretty high and bright, slightly wider. We're going to think of it slightly early. For now. It's almost perfect, so I'm at 98%. We may play around with what type of space we might want to use on that rendition in the coming weeks. Onward. Small here on that when you change from the chest voice or the low note, takes a breath, very narrow after. Okay, so we have you notice that after that chest voice, the head position and the lowest note of the head position, the head voice slightly lower, tucked down in just a little bit, which is often something that happens. The teachers don't put up with it, but they should. Okay? So many subjects. Let's take this note. We'll start a little bit more open as well. It's a little bit overprotected. Oh! First one. Just getting it started, and we'll cut it off. Yes, that's what it should start. It doesn't have to be too shapely on that particular note. Okay. let's move on to this next section. And one. More me than you. There was one little note there, I forget what it is. I think it was an A or A sharp. Let's take this little phrase again. So basically means that three of those notes are on the close side. Excuse me. So we wait to the penultimate note right before the downbeat. That was much better. Same again. 3. Even make believe it's a mezzo forte, knowing that you won't allow it.
Yeah.
A little bit of teeth to go with it, as if the jaw is not going to need to be that prevalent in the beginning. We'll see. We'll do it 3 or 4 more times. Right. There's a lot of middle back pull in that. That which you wouldn't think. I wouldn't generally teach it on this note, but for her voice, I think it's quite good. So there's a lot of that, okay? With a bright vowel, a very, very bright appearance, you can see plenty of teeth here, which again is, going to be necessary at the extreme top. This is not even close to the extreme top, as I know you're saying F sharp, but you need both of them for sure. But let's take the B again, lots of middle, bright appearance. Heading down toward E natural. Just for the viewing audience in our last few minutes here. Pardon the note there. Excuse me. That could be a touch more open, more to the A side, and that C sharp as well. There's so many displays of good singing here, and we thank Kelly Curtin very much today. We would have a question and answer period. I don't know that we have time for that. I do want to mention that if you have any inquiries, lesson inquiries, or questions even, dare I suggest it, because there may be a pretty big viewing audience here. You can send those questions to oswaldlessons@gmail.com. Again, as Kelly was saying, we just finished a Cozy Fan Tutte, and I think the summer program is called Mark Oswald Summer Program. I did not call it that, but in any event, that's going to happen again next year. We're doing 4 operas, and you can always check out YouTube, Mark Oswald YouTube channel. Again, lots of third person here, sorry. There are, I think, around 20 videos out of 300 or 400 about to go up there. So just to broaden your knowledge and to add a little bit of specificity to your technique. Again, we thank Jessica Sandage, Evan Lestowski, Kelly Curtin for their wonderful contribution. Do we have any more time left?
No.
Not so much. Maybe we'll take a few questions outside. Okay. We can take maybe 5 minutes. Is that right? What I said? Okay. I do have a couple of things to discuss. I did make mention as I was working here that for the men, going off on a random subject really fast, that 2 S words, short and soft. If you have a short rhythm, you can take the passaggio up a half step for your off vowel or for any open vowel, and not have to make that shift into the top. Again, by making particular choices, pitch choices, as to where you make the shifts in the voice. Again, most voice teachers believe that there are passagios. So the passaggio note obviously has to be a little bit different than a non-passaggio note. Although we may all believe that verticality is a good idea, maybe not always. There are some notes that are going to be more open than others. And the whole puzzle of the voice will work very well together, making these decisions. The voice teacher has to be able to define for the singer what they need to do in each area of the voice, or each note of the voice, have it be fun for them. Also teach them a few things without telling them, sort of, because how many subjects can you handle? I mean, there are lots of things going on in the voice. There's 25 pitches, but there are 20 vowels. There's lots of things going on. So only that amount of information that they can handle. So short rhythm. I still got off subject, didn't I? Mm-hmm. And then there's this soft notes where they can take, as Lynn was showing us, the passaggio down a half step. Okay, so let's say that E flat is the open O passaggio for this young man. Okay, if we sing a short rhythm, you can wait till E natural to make that shift for that vowel. But if it's soft, you will want to make that shift a half step lower. A confusing sounding definition that means the same thing for these softs is the note that I'm singing soft equals what I would do normally on a sung out pitch. What I would do normally a half step higher. The note that I'm singing soft, let's say a D, equals what I would do at a normal E flat. E flat is your cover where the vowel closes a bit. An open-throated closed vowel. A lot of teachers like to say, oh, it's a narrow feeling. Well, as a result of having the right type of open space, because every note that you sing higher in the range is going to require a bit more stretch of space in whichever direction it needs for the time. Okay? But the vowel may need to close at a particular pitch. So the resultant effect is that it's narrow, but you're singing open-throated closed vowel at a passaggio, for example. Let's see if I have a few more subjects. Do we have a few minutes still left? As I'm being a little, like my last name is Oswald, so I'm always punctual, right? German. How about any questions from you all? If you don't have anything, I will proceed on to another subject. It looks like we'll discuss some things perhaps afterwards. I believe we're at time, and thank you very much for the viewing audience. Somehow we found our way an hour and 10 minutes through a lot of subjects. Again, I appreciate our singers today, and you know, there's lots of different methods out there. Make sure that you have a good specific one. If you've got a good teacher, stick with it. All right, see you later. Excellent.
I took the one, it was slow. So we ended up.
Okay. Great, thank you so much.
Well, I ended up.
I collected it too.
And
My spot. This is still chopped.
Crazy. I completely forgot the hotspot.
Yep. I'm gonna disconnect now.
Yes, yeah.
I just want to figure out.
Oh, yeah.
I can close that.
No.
Thank you.